First of all, they are happening in critical states, and secondly, they are happening right after the formation of the India bloc. Take a look. The counting for the votes for the bypoll elections is underway in 7 assembly seats across 6 states. Now, the elections in these constituencies, which are Ghosi in Uttar Pradesh, Dumri in Jharkhand, Dhanpur and Boxanagar in Tripura, Puthuppally in Kerala, Bageshwar in Uttarakhand, and last but not the least, Dhupguri in West Bengal. Now, elections were held on these seats on 5th of September, and they witnessed high voter turnout, quite unlike, as far as the bypolls are concerned. These elections are considered highly significant, as I mentioned earlier, at both state and national levels, as they mark the first round of polls held after the formation of the opposition India bloc. Meanwhile, first things first, let's quickly tell you about the speed with which the trends are available by 11 a.m. this morning. Let's take a quick look. Dumri in Jharkhand, Adsu is leading there. Puthuppally down south in Kerala, Congress is leading at that seat. The bypoll result counting is underway. Boxanagar in Tripura, BJP is leading. Dhanpur in Tripura, once again, BJP is leading there. And by 11 a.m., the details for Ghosi, which is in Uttar Pradesh, Samajwadi Party is leading at that seat. Bageshwar in Uttarakhand is witnessing BJP's lead. And Dhupguri, West Bengal, Didi's land, no trends yet. We will be bringing you up to speed with the moment we have the details. So this is how it is all about. Samajwadi Party leading in Uttar Pradesh, the seat of Ghosi. We are now joined by our guests also, Shikha Mukherjee, senior journalist, and Amitav Tiwari, political analyst, joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much for taking time out and speaking to us this morning. Well, Shikhaji, starting with you first, obviously, these elections, if we take a state-wise look, then starting from the northeast, later on we'll come down to Uttar Pradesh, Tripura, both the seats, BJP is maintaining a handsome lead. Now, with what is happening in the neighborhood of Tripura, is something that many political pundits would say would dent BJP's chances. But what we are witnessing as of now in these bypolls, and if there are any measure to go by, then how do you read BJP's performance?
Well, I think it's a very interesting issue that you have raised. Does Tripura in the same way identify itself with the kind of ethnic violence and the divisive nature of the ethnic violence in Manipur? To an extent, yes, because there is a tribal element, a large tribal element in Tripura, and which is represented by the Tipramota. And if you look at these by-elections, it's very, very interesting. In Tripura, it is the India Alliance which is fighting the BJP, because Tipramota and the Congress have withdrawn from, have given no candidate in these two by-elections. It is a straight fight between the BJP and the CPM.
Right.
Therefore, in that sense, the Tripura by-election is also part of the India Alliance experiment. And I would also add that, let us not forget in our excitement over the India Alliance and the expectations. I'm one of those people who have great expectations, because the stronger the opposition emerges, the more interesting is the democratic fight. Having said that, I'll just add one little thing, which is that by-elections tend to confirm the ruling regime in the state.
Right.
And BJP already had the Dhanpur seat. The Boxanagar seat was held by the CPM. So if that changes, then it will be a wake-up call for the India Alliance, in the sense that votes do not get transferred just because the leadership says so, just because just because the Congress and the promoter do not put up candidates, it does not mean that their votes are getting transferred to the CPM. Wake up call on how sheet sharing on the ground actually works, number one. And number two, yes, this is a by-election. If the ruling regime does not win Dhanpur and Buxar, then it is a wake-up call for the ruling regime, which is the BJP.
BJP itself. Right. Understood, ma'am. Amitabh ji, now talking about, again, before we come to the central part of the country and the obvious political backgrounds, let's go down south to Kerala. Puthuppally, vacated by the death of former Chief Minister and Congress veteran Umein Chandi. Still, as per the trends by 11 a.m., Congress is leading. So, another bastion that BJP is not able to breach.
Yeah, I mean, Kerala has always been a CPM versus Congress battle, and this seat has been vacated due to the death of Umein Chandi. So what happens is that 5 of these 7 seats, which are going for bypolls, have been necessitated due to the death of the incumbent MLA. Now, in most of these cases, including in Kerala, there is a sympathy which naturally or normally occurs to the incumbent family, and in most of the cases we also see that someone from the family gets a ticket from the party. So here I think the Congress is leading, and leading by a good margin now, it seems, for which is for a Vidhan Sabha election a very good margin, and it is likely to win the seat. However, no conclusions can be drawn from this seat or any of the 5 seats where the bypolls have been necessitated due to the death of the MLAs. And in all these bypolls, as ma'am has said, normally tend to favor the ruling party. That is one. Number 2 is that since bypolls are not going to affect the state governments in any of the states, these become hyper local.
Right.
You would remember even a Lok Sabha seat, I think it was Gorakhpur in 2017ish or 18, where BJP had lost in the Lok Sabha bypoll, and there was a lot of theories built around that BJP could eventually lose out in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections in UP, but it didn't happen that way. So even a Lok Sabha bypoll tends to get very local, and these are anyways assembly elections bypoll. So I would look at the larger number or the bigger number. Currently it's 4 with India Alliance, if you consider left and JMM and everybody part of the India Alliance, and 3 BJP. So we'll have to look at the
obviously overall picture. Definitely, and without much ado, let's come to Uttar Pradesh then. Ghosi, obviously India bloc is putting a united front in this by-election. We have seen voter turnout around 50.77%, not bad, I would say, half though of the total expected number of seats, and the seat fell vacant after Samajwadi Party MLA and OBC leader Dara Singh Chauhan, he resigned from that. Ma'am, Shikhaji, talking about the curious case of Uttar Pradesh politics, obviously the bastions which Samajwadi Party holds, we haven't seen much changes there, and the ones that BJP also holds, remains the same. As far as the MP seat is concerned, due to the demise of Mulayam Singh Yadav, also we saw normal clean sweep by the Samajwadi Party there as well. How would you read these smaller by-elections as of now, smaller yet important, in the context of Uttar Pradesh on the whole?
In Uttar Pradesh, I think I agree that by-elections do get hyper-local, and that's a very, very, very important issue, and which is why there is a tendency for the ruling regime to invariably register a win. But in Ghosi, the issue has somehow or the other been converted into an India versus BJP fight.
Right.
That is the perspective within which the Ghosi, because it is hyper-local, this is the hyper-local condition under which this by-election is being fought at one level. At another level, it will certainly be the Samajwadi Party's kind of all-out effort to retain a seat from where its MLA had actually defected to the BJP. So, on the one hand, it is a hyper-local issue for the Samajwadi Party. On the other hand, it is this hyper-local which reflects the India versus BJP confrontation, which is going to be a very exciting one in 2024 if things go well for India. Now, is Uttar Pradesh the measure of India? That is, at one level, yes, because it has 80 MPs from that state. At another level, no, because here is Congress winning in Puthuppally. There is in Dhupguri, the trend is not very clear. There is a difference between it was a BJP seat, so the Trinamool is behind by about 1,500 votes. But the chances are that the Trinamool will certainly catch up and outperform the BJP in Dhupguri. That's what we are expecting. In Bageshwar, again, you have the Congress taking a lead. So what is emerging is that there is a kind of expectation, perhaps only from analysts and journalists like us. Who knows how the common man on the ground is actually interpreting it. But I think there is a message that is likely to emerge once the results are out. And frankly speaking, I think the message is like this. The India alliance, which is just about 2 months old, it's not even 2 months old, because it was announced only in the middle of July, and we haven't reached the middle of September as yet. The India alliance has perhaps been over-enthusiastic in projecting all these fights as India versus BJP, number one. Number two, it takes time for this kind of alliance to work on the ground. It's fair enough that the leaders are talking, but on the ground, how the votes get shifted between India as an alliance and versus the BJP is something these by-elections should be a wake-up call for the India alliance to figure out how best to get this done. If its performance is poor in this round of elections.
Obviously, ma'am, the messages, no matter how subtle they are, but they are loud and clear. And Amitabh, taking a cue from what Shikhaji is saying, obviously, there is, no matter how hyper-local at times the by-elections would become, the municipal elections would become, but the larger picture obviously has a lot. Now, sampling Jharkhand. Jharkhand, there is a party called AJSU, and AJSU is leading as of now on the Dumri seat, All Jharkhand Students Union or AJSU party. Now, Amitabhji, I wanted to understand from you the role of smaller parties, regional parties, and it's not just restricted to a JMM in Jharkhand, to an AJSU in Jharkhand, or to a HUM in Bihar, for that matter, but down south also and pan-India also. In reference to India bloc, what would be your understanding as far as regional parties are concerned?
So see, Jharkhand always has had many regional parties.
True.
It's perhaps the only state which has had an independent MLA as a chief minister as well at one point of time. So AJSU is part of the NDA bloc, and this seat was necessitated by the death of the JMM MLA. So of course we'll have to wait for the results now, and JMM is in power. So JMM is in power, sympathy factor for the MLA, but AJSU is leading. So if AJSU goes on to win, then it would definitely be telling a story, correct? Because it would mean something. Now the role of the regional parties, not only in NDA but India alliance is fairly important, because what happens is that even in Lok Sabha elections, if you see from 1951 to 2019, and if you add the vote share of all the regional parties, irrespective of the fact whether they fought in alliance with Congress or the BJP or the BJS at that point of time, the average vote share is 49%. And the sum of BJP's and Congress's vote share on an average is 51. So regional parties are getting 49% vote share in Lok Sabha.
Right.
So chunk of them, whoever they align with, normally gets a bump in the Lok Sabha elections. We've seen in 1999 or 2004 elections, even 2009, the bulk of the regional parties aligned with BJP and the Congress, and they received a boost. And that is why they've played a key role in the coalition era from 1989 to almost 2014-ish. Correct. So their role is important. They are able to transfer votes. They represent the regional aspirations of some particular caste, community, or a region. And what happens is, in Lok Sabha elections is that when they get a few seats from the main partner, which is the Congress or the BJP, they are able to win a few seats for themselves as well. So Ajsu or a Apna Dal or a Hum or a VIP, etc. So the role of regional parties, even in this Lok Sabha election 2024, is very important. Otherwise, why would be Congress wooing all of them, and now they have a 28-party alliance, and BJP has a 38-party alliance, correct?
Right.
With half of them even not having a MLA or a MP at a time. So this is very important.
True.
In that. See, Ghosi, one thing I just want to add, Ghosi is important because in Ghosi, the BSP has not put up a candidate.
Right.
And BSP goes and contests a by-election in Bihar, but it is not contesting a by-election in UP. And it has had very different strategies in different seats. In Azamgarh, it contested. In Rampur, it did not contest.
Right.
Now, BSP in 2022 election had a vote share of 22-23% in this seat. The SC community has a population of 22%. The minorities have a population of 20% in the overall district of Mau. Now, where do these voters go? Now, they had voted for BSP in 2020, even when it was fairly weak. Now, the results will show whether the voters of the BSP are going in which direction, because it is likely to weaken further in Lok Sabha election as well.
Right.
So, the contest becomes more bipolar going into 2024, whether BSP voters switch to Samajwadi Party, like they largely did in the 2022 Vidhan Sabha election. Some of them also went in favor of the BJP, especially the non-Jat. So that is very, very critical. And the results will also show when people are hopping from one party to another, because Dara Chauhan went from BJP to SP, now he has made a Ghar Wapsi. How do voters do this? Do they see it as optimism and penalize? We'll have to see.
Indeed. See, as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned, you're right, Mr. Tiwari, that when it comes to, the actual dance of democracy and the political ways, obviously Uttar Pradesh has led by example. We have seen this happening in Lok Sabha elections also, with party hopping and then coming back home. That's the case. Shikhaji, I think you were nodding in affirmation. You wanted to speak on Uttar Pradesh's curious case, as I mentioned. Please go ahead. And then I have a very specific question for you on Dhupguri in West Bengal. But please finish your thoughts on Uttar Pradesh first.
Yeah, well, same as the BSP, the Congress has also not put up a candidate in Ghosi. So, in other words, there is the way in which the voting happens. I mean, there is one homecoming. BJP has high stakes in ensuring that Dara Singh Chauhan wins the seat, because he's the defector, he should be the defending champion, etc., etc. But this is an SP seat. Therefore, the dynamics are going to be interesting. But at the same time, I have a feeling that the Ghosi example, as an India versus BJP, or in India versus NDA issue may not be entirely typical. There may be certain things which are atypical to Ghosi. The other thing, and I think on this I really would like Mr. Tiwari's reaction, which is, if you look at the Bageshwar seat in Uttarakhand,
Uttarakhand, yes.
there are two very small local parties which are Uttarakhand based. And that is something which is going to be interesting, because what is the role of these two smaller parties? Are they going to play the role of which is what all these smaller parties with hardly any with no MLAs, no MPs joining both sides of the divide? Their role is in holding on to some votes, which, if it went to either side, would tip the balance.
Right.
So they work as a force multiplier. In this case, what is going to be their role in Bageshwar, where the BJP is the sitting, it was a BJP seat, the Congress seems to be leading.
Right. Mr. Tiwari, you can definitely respond to that. But before that, there is a piece of information. BJP has won the Dhanpur bypoll seat. This is the first seat that we are calling as of now. Dhanpur has been won by the BJP, obviously making the inroads and their authority, their presence solid in Northeast. Obviously, the first seat going to BJP. Now, talking about what Shikhaji is saying, Amitabhji, that obviously the role of smaller parties, in this case of Uttarakhand, how do you see that two smaller parties contesting there against the BJP?
Yeah, so I just checked the ECI website. The BJP was leading by some 1,500 votes. And the parties like Uttarakhand, Kranti Dal, the Samajwadi Party, there's one more candidate, and the Nota. The Nota has polled 700 votes there. All these combined together have polled more than the margin of lead which the BJP enjoys. So, of course, I mean, in any case, in any election, when there are a larger number of players contesting an election, the incumbent tends to benefit because of the split of the opposition vote. And that is perhaps what is the aim or the objective of the Indian bloc when they say that we need to have a one-to-one contest in as far as seats as possible, because even the entry of smaller players and independents do tend to get away or poll a significant number of votes, which in a tight election may become fairly important at the end of the day.
Right. Shikhaji, we will have to, quickly focus on Dhanpur, the first seat in Tripura that has gone BJP way. Obviously, let me ask you very, you had answered it earlier also, but just for the benefit of our viewers, talking about, again, the neighborhood, the sentiments, what is happening in Manipur as of now? Do you believe it is going to have its repercussions on the other state elections that are going? Mizoram is going to polls soon. Do you believe that is going to somewhere help or harm BJP, first of all? Secondly, and how do you read these out of the two seats that are going to polls in Tripura? One already BJP has bagged.
Dhanpur was a BJP seat. It has retained the seat.
Retaining
it
yes.
has retained the seat. So that was a kind. If it had not retained the seat, then that would have been a blow. In other words, the BJP seems to have managed to hold on to its popularity in Dhanpur. On the other hand, it seems to have kept the Manipuri issue from impacting the voters in Dhanpur. The third thing, I think, is that in terms of whether the Manipur situation is going to impact the forthcoming elections in Mizoram, I would imagine that there the dynamics would be different.
Right.
Because those are essentially tribal that's where different tribal communities, different tribal leaders, different tribal formations are up against each other, which is what is happening in the Meitei versus Kuki
Absolutely.
issue in Manipur. The impact in Tripura is slightly different because in Tripura there is, apart from the fact that there is a tribal vote, as I keep saying, there is also the voters a lot of whom, a large majority of whom, came from across the border at the time of partition.
Right.
And even after Bangladesh. So their political stakes are a little different from the Manipur issue, which is Kuki versus Meitei.
Right. Amitabhji, your take on it. BJP retaining Dhanpur, obviously in Tripura, just in the vicinity of Manipur.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Your take on BJP retaining Dhanpur in Tripura, especially in the wake of what is happening in Manipur.
Yeah, I don't see any significant conclusions can be drawn. It was a BJP seat, as ma'am has said, and it has been retained, which is normally the trend in a by-election. In Tripura, the larger trend, I think the result of the other seat is very important, because that had a left MLA or a CPM MLA. That seat the BJP was leading when I saw last, correct? So if the seat is not retained by the left in this bypoll, then it could signal further weakening of the left parties in a state like Tripura. And it is in line with the weakening of the left, I mean, on a pan-India level as well, apart from Kerala. They are not left anywhere. Left is not left anywhere apart from Kerala. And I think out of the 6 states where the polls are held, what is going to happen in Tripura, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand and Kerala is not going to have a significant impact or a significant message.
Yeah. Shekhaji, you want to make a point? I'm sorry, Amitabh. Shekhaji, you want to...
I just see that Boxanagar has gone to the BJP.
Oh, so both.
Yeah.
Both have gone to the BJP.
That is a big setback for the left parties in Tripura. It signifies their further weakening. And the 2 seats which are important from an India perspective or a pan-India perspective is Ghosi, which is UP, and the West Bengal.
Right.
In West Bengal, the CPM has also put up a candidate, correct? So, and in West Bengal, to have TMC, CPM and Congress all part of one bloc versus JP is next to impossible. So, West Bengal is going to be the first casualty of this joint opposition, wherein we could see now Congress has to take a call whether it wants to ally with TMC or it wants to ally with the CPM in West Bengal. I don't see TMC accommodating both the parties in the India bloc in West Bengal. And that's also, I would say, beneficial for the India bloc. See, what happens is, and we've seen in UP, POC, correct? When a Mahagathbandhan took place in 2019, everybody saw or everybody thought that they would be able to defeat the BJP. They are stronger on paper. But what happens is that there is a significant counter consolidation which also takes place. Correct? So the BSP, in any election, whatever votes the BSP gets has some element of an anti-SP vote as well. Correct? So when it allies with the Mahagathbandhan, this anti-SP vote went to BJP. Similarly, in West Bengal, CPM gets anti-TMC votes. So when it aligns with the TMC, this anti-TMC voter has no other option but to go to the
vote
BJP.
for BJP. Absolutely, absolutely.
So strategically also, it is not a good decision. All these parties could come together. The index of opposition unity was higher in 2019 than in 2014. But still the BJP's tally increased from 282 to 303.
So this is the basically vote bank. Shikha ji, coming to you, one specific question that I was talking about Dhupguri, Amitabh actually, touched upon the same aspect only. We have CPIM's Ishwar Chandra Roy is contesting as the candidate of the Congress Left Alliance, while the ruling TMC has fielded Nirmal Chandra Roy, who is a teacher. Now, obviously, with this kind of, alliances, and then we have India bloc, Amitabh clearly explained how it is counterproductive for the alliance in state. But looking at the bigger picture and the understanding that they had in Mumbai, कि जहाँ तक हो सकेगा seat sharing में हम लोग साथ देंगे, how do you see this thing panning out in the run-up to 2024?
I think, as Mr. Tiwari quite rightly pointed out, it makes, it's counterintuitive, but at the same time, it makes much more sense. The anti-TMC vote has to go somewhere.
Right.
And it is better if it goes to the CPM for the India Alliance than if it shifts to the BJP. There is the Congress and the CPM together has managed up to now to kind of hold on to some of their own votes and increase their vote share. That is, I think, the most interesting thing, because as their vote share has increased, the vote share of the BJP has declined. So, in other words, the Trinamool's vote share has increased as well. And this is the peculiar nature of the way in which everything is counterintuitive, in the sense that the anti-TMC vote goes to the Congress or the left. The Congress, but the left and the Congress are picking up BJP's votes, as is the Trinamool Congress.
Right.
So this is something that is kind of an emerging scenario. As I kept saying, the seat sharing or 1:1 fight that the India Alliance is talking about has to be calibrated actually to the specifics of the regions themselves. And this will require the kind of micro examination of data, which I don't know whether the India Alliance is going to be able to do in the time that it has.
Right. Amitabh ji, what Shikha ma'am, points out is, if I may take the liberty to call it chinks in the armor in this newly christened bloc. There are certain things that need to be looked into very minutely, especially these bypoll results as well, the friction that it might bring together. In your opinion, what are those weak points as far as this India bloc is concerned that it needs to be wary of, that the NDA or the BJP can take advantage of? Some, issues that you can think of, off the cuff. You'll have to.
So one is, of course, seat distribution, as we have discussed. So 1-to-1 contest may not benefit everywhere, correct? Like maybe Bengal is an example.
Right.
The other is the question of leadership. Now, in leadership, there is a big dilemma. Congress wants to project a leader after Bharat Chodo Yatra, and the regional parties do not want to project a leader and go for a combined leadership, correct?
Right.
Because they hope or they think that the focus will move away from local issues. However, regional parties, wherever they have defeated BJP, it is because of a towering personality they have in their ranks.
Yes.
Mamata Banerjee, Naveen Patnaik, Jagan, whoever you call it.
The regional parties.
Wherever it has defeated BJP in state elections, it has always had a combined leadership. Kamalnath plus Digvijay plus Scindia, Bageshwar plus T.S. Singhdev plus Sahu, correct?
Siddharaya plus D.K. Shivkumar.
Ashok Gehlot. And Himachal also, they had few leaders, D.K. Shivkumar and Siddaramaiah, as you mentioned. So for Congress, a combined leadership has worked, but it wants to have a single face For the regional parties, a single face has worked, but they want to have a combined leadership. Now, that's a big dilemma which they are going to face. The third will be a common minimum program. Now, with left in the alliance, of course, we'll know that the left's ideological positioning on economic issues is fairly different from the Congress party. I mean, and we also recall the US nuclear deal when the left withdrew the support, etc. Correct.
Right.
So, how do you arrive at a common minimum program? The AAP has a different philosophy of making India Vishwa Guru. The Congress has this 5 guarantees program. The regional parties will have their own methods or ways or formulas to make India number. So, seat distribution, leadership, and a common minimum program.
Absolutely.
What is the message? So currently, it seems that, or the perception is that the parties have joined hands to defeat Modi. So the plank is anti-Modi. Correct? At least that's what BJP has been seeding in the social media and traditional media. Now, it's a negative connotation. It's not that an anti-Indira alliance did not work earlier. It worked. An anti-Rajiv alliance also worked. Correct? In both force. But you need to have a positive message. So while you have joined hands together to defeat Modi and save the constitution, and you are raising a lot of issues, what is your agenda? How are you going to solve these issues? That's not on the table. So the governance model linked to a common minimum program, but what is the governance model? How will you solve unemployment when in the states where you are in power, you've not been able to solve? Or when Congress was in power, we've not been able to solve. How will you solve price rise? How will you solve poverty, corruption, etc.? So this idea of India, which they have been calling out, this is the idea of the BJP. Correct. So how are they going to achieve this idea? This roadmap is not very clear to the voter, because first of all, you have to prepare the roadmap, then you have to communicate. You had a Nyay scheme in 2019, which was giving 72,000 rupees. Then also you could not win 50 seats because you were not able to communicate to the voter what your scheme was.
Absolutely. So making your plans clear to the voters is something that not just the Congress but the India bloc also has to focus. Shikhaji, one final question to you before I say good day to both of you. Obviously, there was a Patna parlay, there was Bangalore ki Baitak, then there was Mumbai meeting also. In your opinion, given the 2 seats that we are talking about in Tripura have both gone to the BJP, as you had also mentioned, Boxanagar and Dhanpur, won by the BJP in 2023 by-polls. In your opinion, what is the message for both the NDA and the India bloc?
Well, I think India Alliance has to figure out how the fact that the Tripura Mokta and the Congress did not give candidates in Boxanagar has impacted the voter, and this is not something that they can run away from. There has to be an analysis on the ground, and that analysis cannot be only about the BJP. It is all about how the India Alliance worked to win the seat and therefore failed to win the seat.
Right.
That is an analysis that needs to be done. And that is what I have been saying. There is a need to look at what works and what doesn't work and why it works and why it doesn't work at the micro level. And that will apply to seat after seat after seat in a lot of places, because the choice, if you look at the India Alliance, let me put it to you this way. Would Boxanagar have performed better if the Congress had given a candidate there? Who knows? This is something that the India Alliance will have to fix. It will have to fix it, whether in Dhupguri, whether it should have been a CPM candidate or it should have been a Congress candidate who would have maximized the votes for the alliance. These are issues that are on the ground. And I think that the Dhupguri seat will reflect this at some point in time.
Right.
The Ghosi seat is reflecting it at some in a different way, because the Ghosi seat was held by the SP or BJP, SP, BJP. That's a mess. However, it was up to the SP to win that seat. At the end of the day, it was SP which won the seat before. It had to hold on to the seat. Right. These are issues which the India Alliance needs to figure out. And I think that on the other hand, when Mr. Tiwari was raising the point on what is the India Alliance, what is this India Collective's agenda, what is its appeal, positive appeal, what is it going to offer to the voter? I think on the other hand, the BJP specifically, the government, is accountable for a lot of other things. And that is where the government is running away in terms of unemployment. Unemployment is at its worst in India at this point in time. The living wage issue is at its worst in India at this point in time. The Manipur crisis is now 4 months old and there has been no solution. The inflation issue is coming up in a very, very big way, because it's going to be food inflation. I am very, very afraid. I am seriously afraid that there will be serious inflation. And the economy's performance is not going to change, is not going to improve rapidly, regardless of what G20 summit we have, what are the trade relations we develop with other countries, etc.
Right.
These are the fundamentals of the economy.
Fundamental issues that they need to take a look at. Absolutely, ma'am. You have actually...
And the government is the defending champion. Let's face it.
Yes.
It's not India which is a defending champion. It is the government. It is Mr. Modi who is the defending champion.
Absolutely. And to defend the title, to defend the power, the rule also, obviously, it's not a cakewalk. Definitely, ma'am. The accountability, the answerability is definitely there. For just the benefit of our viewers, very quickly, before we take final comments from Amitabh ji, SP is leading in Ghosi in Uttar Pradesh. UDF is set for victory in Puthuppally, down south in Kerala. BJP is leading in Dhupguri, West Bengal. And Bageshwar in Uttarakhand. Congress is ahead there. Amitabh ji, final word very quickly. Taking a cue from these 6 to 7 seats, your projection for 2024 and the message for NDA and India bloc?
See, what happens in a one-to-one contest sometimes is that there tends to be a higher degree of polarization or consolidation and anti-consolidation. So if you are putting a one candidate against the candidate of the BJP, it also happens, like it might have happened in Tripura, is that you're not able, when I say you, the opposition is not able to gain advantage of the local anti-incumbency. Why? Because a person who had voted for BJP may have been angry, but when he sees 5-6 candidates, he feels that मेरे एक वोट से कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है और वो जाकर के ऑपोजिशन को वोट दे देता है. लेकिन जब ये कॉन्टेस्ट 1-to-1 हो जाता है, तो even people who may not be happy with the government tend to stay with the government because they see that the contest is fairly close and there are chances of losing. It's a psychological thing, right? And then, of course, I think not much can be made out of these bypolls. I will have a key. We'll have to see what happens in Ghosi. That is fairly important because BSP decline benefited the BJP in 2022 overall. But on this seat, BSP performing better led to the victory of Dara Singh Chauhan.
Dara Singh Chauhan there. Absolutely. There is a mathematics always, Shikhaji, Amitabhji. I always wonder when it comes to, the dynamics of elections. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Always a pleasure to speak to both of you. And we really appreciate your inputs here on News 9 Live. Meanwhile, all roads are leading to Delhi as of now because India is hosting the G20 summit. Up next, after the break, we bring you the voices that matter in the run-up to the all-important G20 summit, which starts obviously on Saturday and Sunday. But clearly, those who are living in Delhi would know that it has already started for the national capital, the culmination of the world at New Delhi for the G20 summit. Watch these interviews after the break.
मैं इमरान अहमद खान नियाजी सबके दिल से हल्फ उठाता हूँ.
When Imran Khan came initially into politics, he thought his personal popularity would be sufficient for him. It didn't happen.
The retired military generals are openly saying that Imran Khan is a better choice.
Imran Khan may have bitten a bit too much, more than what he can chew.
Implosion. This and more. Streaming on world's first news OTT. News 9 Plus. Download now.